When John Ramirez moved into the serene gated community of Cedar Pines, he imagined it as the final chapter of his long and demanding career in law enforcement. After serving 34 years on the force, 12 as the city's respected police chief, John looked forward to gardening, morning walks with his dog Zeus, and quiet evenings on the porch with his wife Marla. He didn't expect a war over a mailbox. 2 months after moving in, John received a letter from the Cedar Pines Homeowners Association, HOA. The tone was terse. Dear Mr. Ramirez, your mailbox does not conform to Community Design Standards, Section 3.2b. You are in violation and must replace it within 7 days or incur a $100 daily fine. He stared at the letter. His mailbox? The same handcrafted wooden box his late son had built for him, a tribute to his decades of service. It wasn't falling apart. It wasn't an eyesore. In fact, it stood out for its quality and craftsmanship. Still, rules were rules, apparently. John did what any rational homeowner would do. He attended the next HOA meeting. The board was led by President Linda Whitaker, a rigid, rulebook-wielding woman in her 50s with a passion for uniform shrub heights and exact paint swatches. John introduced himself calmly, explained the mailbox significance, and asked for a variance. He didn't mention his background. He never led with that. Linda didn't even glance up from her agenda. Mr. Ramirez, the rules apply to everyone. Sentimental value is not a consideration. Another board member smirked. We can't have everyone customizing their mailboxes. That leads to chaos. John raised an eyebrow. Chaos? He returned home, disappointed but not defeated. The following week, a new letter arrived. This one more aggressive. Final notice. You are now accruing daily fines. Failure to comply will result in further action, including potential legal escalation. John chuckled. Legal escalation? Over a mailbox? The next morning, a board member stood outside, snapping photos of his home. Zeus barked. John stepped outside in his robe. Just documenting violations, the man said smugly. At that moment, something clicked in John. A different kind of instinct kicked in. Not anger, but something deeper. Resolve. He didn't spend 3 decades dealing with gang units, hostage negotiations, and political red tape to be bullied by an HOA with a clipboard. He sent a formal appeal, citing the unique circumstances, including the historical and personal value of the mailbox. He attached documentation proving its safety and craftsmanship. He also cited the lack of precedent in enforcement. Several homes had non-compliant yard gnomes, custom door knockers, and holiday lighting well past January. The HOA responded by doubling the fines. That was the last straw. John contacted a friend, a civil attorney. Within days, a cease and desist letter was sent to the board demanding the fines be dropped and accusing the HOA of selective enforcement, harassment, and lack of due process. He also made a phone call to a local news outlet where a former detective now worked as a reporter. The story ran the next week. Retired police chief fined over sentimental mailbox by overzealous HOA. It went viral. Reporters showed up. Neighbors rallied. Social media roasted Linda Whitaker, now dubbed Mailbox Karen. More than a dozen residents came forward with similar stories of intimidation and petty fines. Under pressure, the board called an emergency meeting. John was invited to speak. This time he introduced himself properly. Good evening. My name is John Ramirez. I'm a 34-year law enforcement veteran. I've served this community, this city, and this state with honor. I believe in rules. I enforce them for most of my life. But I also believe in fairness, discretion, and common sense, something this board has sorely lacked. There was silence, then applause. By the end of the meeting, the fines were dropped. A motion was passed to revise the mailbox rule with a clause allowing exceptions for significant personal or historical value. Linda resigned 2 weeks later. John still tends his garden every morning. The mailbox stands proudly, polished and strong, and Zeus still barks at clipboard wielders. But now they wave.